Is there a U.S. retirement crisis? That's the topic of today's segment with the gals, Paulina and Molly. So we're going to find out what's going on here. Pretty interesting topic today. So let's get right into it at the opening bell. Good morning, ladies. Hi. Hello, Paulina. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Again, another note I didn't get. The color white was not sent to the email. I see. Okay.
Right.
I see how the girls work. Keeping me out of this. I got it.
We're talking about retirement, so this is angelic work here, right?
This is the what? What did she say? I didn't hear her. What did you say?
This is angelic work, so we have to wear white.
This is angelic work.
And it wasn't coordinated either. It was twin telepathy.
There you go. I love it.
But on who wore it best, Paulina, you win, because I'm having workout clothes here, so you win.
Is that you guys both look great. I'm telling you, I love the white. I just wish I had known about it. I would have kind of done the same. But okay, no, don't worry about it. Okay. So, again, our friend Paulina, she's so busy. We have limited time with her. So we only got about 15 minutes, Mal. I'll be watching the clock.
All right.
The retirement crisis. Is it a crisis? Is it not a crisis? Paulina, tell us what you know. I read the article about this coming from BlackRock, I think, Mr. Fink over there. So let's break it down a little bit and see what's going on here.
Yeah, every year BlackRock has an annual shareholder letter that's put out by its CEO, Larry Fink. And this year, the theme of the letter was the affordability crisis in retirement, and more specifically, the fear that many Americans today have, which is outlasting their money as they get older. So in this letter, he kind of dissected the issue, what the problem is, and he presented some solutions. I guess a natural question would be, why do we care about BlackRock? There are so many different asset managers out there. And I would say the fact is that BlackRock oversees over $10 trillion in assets at this point, assets under management. It's the world's largest asset manager. So its influence is across the global markets, both for everyday retail investors, for institutional investors. So it's important to understand what the CEO's strategies are and how he's thinking about the markets and all these different issues of today.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's the crisis part of this? So my guess is that Americans are living longer, right? Typical models used to kind of gauge them to their late 70s, I'm guessing, thereabouts, maybe in early 70s, I don't know. But now people are living, 83, 85, 90, 95, 100 and beyond and all that kind of good stuff. So will the money last is kind of the issue, the crisis part of this, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say that is a core issue. There are multiple issues here. To your point, he first called out that Social Security, while it's a great foundation for retirement, the thing is when in today's world, the statistics that are based off of our current retirement model, they are very outdated. Like you said, 60, 70 years old. So people that just rely on Social Security, he said that they're basically going to be living in poverty as they're well into retirement. And so they need to supplement that income with something else when they stop working. So as you said, people are living longer. There are advances in medicine and technology, and our lifespans are growing. That inevitably means that we need more money to outlive us. Right. And so he discussed possibly as a solution increasing the age of retirement if people have the capacity to do that. And he also proposed that more Americans would need to be investing in the capital markets to grow their wealth. So those are some of the quick solutions, the top high level solutions that he presented.
Okay, Mal. Investing in funds. What are you thinking about that, little Miss Wonder?
Well, I do think we might want to look we might want to look back. All right, Larry, let's take a look at this. So back during COVID, when we had, more than 80% of the current currency in circulation, 80% of that today was introduced into the markets during COVID. And I think BlackRock had a huge influence on that. So in the concern for elder care, we might want to look back at his track record and his influence in the current inflation, dilemma that we're facing. So I think there's also been, speculation that on the advice of BlackRock, there was a lot of requests to invest in their ETFs and their funds. So we kind of see that happening again. Just instead of COVID, now it's the elder care dilemma. So we're very clear, Larry. He wants everyone to invest in his products, but I think one of the biggest components I see in my own personal experiences is, I think for our generations, the next generations, even baby boomers that are out there, to really educate yourself on finances and your own, and really take ownership of your own personal finances. I think we're really starting to see that grow, which is the good news. And I think that will influence on the upward trajectory of a more balanced elder care future. And I think people are becoming more aware of the problem. So I'm not sure. I do see Larry advising us to invest in his product in the past. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to put them on my table, and I will take a good look at it. But inflation is definitely an issue. So something around that.
Okay.
I think it's really important just to take ownership, responsibility of your own finances. Larry Fink obviously has his motivations to benefit his clients and BlackRock, but he is heavily invested with ESG funds, and I do know that that's been on the chopping block. So write in the notes if you want us to expand on his ETFs or ESG, and we can do that for you.
Okay. Very, very good, Mal.
Yes.
You kind of
very buttoned up.
Very buttoned up on that. I like it. Paulina's still smiling, by the way, so we didn't cross any bounds. So Paulina, what? And I don't expect you to know this. I'm just thinking out loud here. How do they determine how much you get from Social Security? I know there's some fancy formula. It's based on how much you pay in over your lifetime, and then once they compute that, it spits out some numbers, and that's what you're going to get after a certain age, monthly for the rest of your life. Does that sound right? I think.
Yeah, I think it depends, like you said, to how much you contribute, and then I know that recently, especially during the COVID period, the pandemic period, a lot of retirees have chosen to retire early. So you do have that option before the age of, what is it now, 63, 64?
Yeah.
I know that there was a cohort of baby boomers who decided to take those distributions early. But the impact of that is you don't get as much as you would if you were to retire the whatever the IRS says the normal retirement date is. So I guess you would have to adjust maybe your standard of living, increase your savings. But the whole issue here that Fink is talking about is that the Social Security system is not going to be able to provide and pay full benefits by around 2034. And so a way that he addresses this is to either adjust your savings and spending, or invest in, as we said, the flexibility around some of his 401k ETFs that will eventually provide some form of income stream similar to a pension. And he called this strategy, he has a name for it. There's a product around it already. It's going to be available this month in April. It's called LifePath Paycheck. And he believes this is the solution for Americans who might not have an employer-sponsored 401k, but still want to participate in the capital markets and find out ways to grow their wealth outside of Social Security. And he believes that this is a solution that's not only going to be in the U.S. but also in countries all over the world.
Yeah.
So he's trying to set that model, I think.
Okay. Look at Mal. I don't know how you feel about it, but if you as a young person, I'm not saying me as a young person, I'm just saying generally you, for instance, like my son, he's a young person. He makes, decent money. I know he's got a 401k through his company and it's contributed to, and he contributes and he's disciplined about that. So if you start out the game early and discipline yourself, right, and manage your spending and your savings and all that sort of thing, and get into a habit of doing this monthly where you contribute, and if there's a 401 match from your employer, even better, right? That money turns into a pretty magnificent sum by the time you hit 65. If you start when in your mid to late 20s, early 30s, that's a long time, right? So you could potentially have a nice little nest egg at your disposal by then, right? All things being equal. So I kind of like it. I don't know. It's just me. I like the discipline part. So
I do like the discipline part. I would say this though. I would say that, I think looking at your 401k, does the rate of return keep up with the rate of inflation? And then what is the, it's taxed on the way out, not the way in. So I think people, they get surprised that what's left at the end and what that buying power provides at the end. I think the new generations are starting to understand. I think we all know that Social Security we haven't been counting on Social Security. I think that's probably right. Would you guys say that's the case? So I think we're starting to it's a new way of life, but that you don't really ever retire. And I think that's the great thing with options trading and why it's such an incredible tool, because you can create that, insurance and protected puts and really go in safely and extend that for the rest of your life to have that income and take that personal responsibility. I think that's going to be the new solution.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I love the options part of it. Options can be used neatly for income generation, right? We'll get into that in another show, how that works. But there's a discipline there too, right? So, if you're not professional at this or have massive discipline, especially on self-directed investing, it can go south fast. So we don't want to.
By the way, some option strategy you can trade inside of your 401k is that safe. So that's a whole other episode on itself. But isn't it? I think we should look at Social Security in its back in the FDR's New Deal. That was when Social Security was created. The life expectancy wasn't anywhere near what it is today, and so definitely, I think you're right, Paulina. A requirement on the adjustment of the age when you can access those, and I think there also needs to be some policy adjustments. There's a program called IHSS, which is for low income. And if you have paid too many taxes and you've made too much income, you don't qualify for that assistance. And so it's important to look, I think, instead of historical, where is someone's ability to care for themselves if something goes wrong, in their current cash flow. And I think that's really important to adjust that as far as policies and the qualification for those, what they paid into.
Yep. Interesting. Okay. So anything else on this, Paulina, that we're missing from Mr. Fink? He got a huge bonus too. But speaking of bonuses, I was reading in this, and he killed it. He was like, oh man, what a good year he had, like 800 million or something like that.
So I'll take the rosy side of the equation. I think that regardless of what you think about Larry Fink, BlackRock, and what have you, I think it's good that we're having this conversation around finding different streams of income, because to Molly's point, we all know that Social Security is definitely not going to be enough. in retirement. So the more that people are having the conversation around investing and figuring out how to grow their wealth, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now we're kind of making fun of BlackRock a little bit because Molly Bean, Miss CT. We had to give one of those, just one.
All right. So each one of us has to give one advice, since we're in the financial sector, for someone retiring. So mine would be, hang on to your house if you have a low interest rate, and turn it into if you can't afford it, turn it into an income property, and you can do Airbnb in your room. You can do photo shoots and open your house to movies and things. Wow. So what just to keep that asset, because it does keep in line with inflation. Yeah. So go ahead. What is your advice?
Go ahead, Paulina. The gals in white, if you have one.
Okay, so I'm not allowed to give financial advice, but I'll say this. I'll say something that I did, which I think was a really great move. It was a great move for me, and that was opening a Roth IRA. Oh. And I think it's so powerful that they only allow you to put in $7,000 a year. It used to be like $6,500 last year. They increased it to $7,000. So I think it's a really powerful tool. If you don't have an employer-sponsored 401k or don't have any sort of retirement vehicle, I think looking into the benefits of a Roth are great.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I like that. What about you, Lex?
Well, I think I said mine already. I think both mine kind of aligns with yours. If you don't have like Paulina just said, a matching 401k, you have to find some ability to discipline yourselves to pay yourself first. So you always have to pay yourself first, and then that should be put into some sort of interest-bearing or investment savings opportunity. You have to stay with it and you have to start early too. So I'm really hitting the young folks here. Start early. I've seen it firsthand. I mean, my son showed me his retirement the other day, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. He's not that old of a dude, and I'm like, that's great. Think about when you're my age, how much is that's going to be,
right?
I can't say it enough. You have to stay disciplined, and you just have to stay with it. That's all. So and I like the options thing too, by the way, but
yeah,
that's a different topic, and we have to be really careful there. There's some disclaimers there that I would focus on. So
compound calculation, as you talked about your son's 401k, is, as Einstein put it, is the eighth wonder of the world. It is really incredible. Here's an incredible book for anyone who's looking to, whole life insurance policies are also good, especially if you're young. Become Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. What a book. Yeah. So get that. It's skinny. You can handle it.
Thick? Because
it's skinny.
Fish it like on the beach or something.
It's like a giant coaster, but it's thin. So you got this. You guys got this.
All right. As long as it's under 10 pounds, I can read it.
Thanks,
all right, Paulina's got to go. She's at the Bing Ding Bingamajig.
All right.
Paulina, thanks for coming on. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
And wow, always amazing topics that you bring.
Yes,
always.
They're unreal.
Comments
below, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. What else? Hold on. There's one more thing. I can't think of it. I can't remember. Nevertheless.
See you at the Tradier Hub. See you at the Tradier Hub.
See you at the Tradier Hub. That's right. All right, Paulina, thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye. Well, hello, Mal.
Well, hello.
How are you?
Good. That was a good topic.
I like it. So, as we were finishing, I was reading the because Paulina's Greek. I don't know if you knew that, right?
Yeah.
So she's a Greek lady, and somehow, the Larry Fink has bugged my room, and he put up an article that said, "My family's from this Greek island of longevity where people live to be 100 and beyond. And what are the 12 foods that we always eat?" So I started reading about that while Paulina was talking.
By the way, before you, because you're going to list those right now, I will say one of the best investments you can make in your future is food and health.
That's a good one.
Ooh,
I like it.
And start young. That is a really good one. So tell us the top 10.
Top 10 real quick. I don't know if it's 10. It looks like it's more than 10, but I'm going to go backwards. Feta and similar cheeses.
Yes. Thank
God,
that's a good one. In there.
Yogurt.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Dried fruits. Mm-hmm. Honey, which I don't like. Sea salt. Interesting. Olive oil. olives, nuts, almonds, pistachios, sesame seeds, and tahini, walnuts, yada yada. Herbs, especially oregano and bay leaves and thyme and mint. Grains, we know what that is, right? Simple. Garlic, beans and legumes. So chickpeas, they call them gigantes. It's a giant bean. Lentils, split peas. So this is my Mediterranean diet tonight, so that's what I'm going with. My bowl,
All right.
Mediterranean.
And you're in charge of something. What was that dish you're in charge of tonight?
I forgot already.
You're chopping something. Okay, another thing to check out is chopping broccoli SNL.
Oh,
Google it. Yeah,
okay.
Just for Lex, because he'll be chopping things tonight.
I will be chopping things. Okay. Well, good show, Ma. Good to see you.
All right.
I hope you get some rest. You're working too hard. So
I am.
I will
right,
see you next week on the Brew.
All right. See you then.
All opinions expressed by Tradier Hub contributors are solely the contributors' opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Tradier nor its affiliates and/or subsidiaries. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Hub contributors as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or to follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their opinion. The contributors' opinions are based on their own personal research, but neither Tradier nor its affiliates and/or subsidiaries warrants its completeness or accuracy, and it should not be relied upon as such. Any trades or positions discussed or referred to by contributors may or may not be actual live trades or positions. Such information is not intended to be financial or investment advice. Tradier Inc. is the parent company of Tradier Brokerage Inc. Tradier Brokerage Inc. and Tradier Inc. are separate entities with their own products and services. Securities products and services are offered through Tradier Brokerage Inc. Tradier Brokerage Inc. is an independent subsidiary of Tradier Inc. All rights reserved. Member FINRA SIPC.